Pew, pew, pew. Megaman. Hello everyone, and let's start the video. Pew!
Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory.
Hello!
Whether it's work, school, or just a tough day, you can always count on us to be the mental E-tank that keeps your energy maxed out.
E-tank, you know, the one that boosts your health up.
Today we're going old school to talk about a franchise that no one cares about, least of all Capcom.
Don't get it? Old school, the screen is just...
themselves. Well, least of all might be an exaggeration. Probably the entity that cares the least about this franchise is the YouTube algorithm. Ain't nobody seeing this video. Anyway.
No. I'm watching this video. Don't say that. Don't say that. Come on. Please. I'm watching this video. I'm reacting to this video. Yep.
Today we're talking about Megaman, or more specifically, his villain, Dr. Wily.
Dr. Wily.
Dr. Wily.
Dr. Wily, Dr. Wily.
Dr. Wily.
Sure, whatever he said. But today we're not covering the usual Dr. Wily is actually the hero of these games. In part because I already did that theory. No friends, far from it. Today, it's my goal to convince you that despite being beaten over and over and over and over and over again in this franchise, Wily is the one that ultimately comes out on top. In the Megaman series, you lose.
What? In the Megaman series, I lose? Like, I won, I'm the protagonist, I defeated the bad guy. What do you mean I
Bad
lose?
guy wins, and humanity suffers big time. Ladies, gentlemen, and beloved household appliances, strap in
Beloved household
your
appliances.
rust jet and get those busters a-chargin'. We're about to ruin Megaman. Before digging into this theory too much, it's important to recognize that the Megaman timeline is essentially broken into 4 main chunks: Megaman Classic, Megaman X, Megaman Zero and ZX, as well as Megaman Legends. Except there's a twist here. As early as the first game of the series, there's something deeper at work. You can actually see Wily learning, growing, evolving in his techniques, creating a massive character arc that spreads through a huge chunk of the Mega Man series. And if you read between the lines throughout the course of Mega Man Classic to Mega Man Legends, you'll soon see that after years and years of defeat, Wily accepts his death as an inevitability. He begins developing ways to keep his conscience alive, and he eventually succeeds in destroying all of humanity.
What? What? He destroyed all human beings. Yeah, funny.
Wily doesn't just win by the end of the series, he dominates. And how do we know all that? Well, it all starts with the OG Mega Man on the NES. Throughout all of the classic games, we watch as Wily learns and steals from his rival, Dr. Light. It's never told to us explicitly, but rather it's much more subtle storytelling happening through the increasingly complicated development of Wily's robot masters. Using the Japanese manual for Mega Man 1, Dr. Light receives news stating, quote, "The robots you developed are going out of control, one after the other. At this rate, robots will take over humankind." Of course, Light has no idea what the message is referring to, but quickly makes the connection that Dr. Wily modified the robots that he developed. So when the series starts, Wily is forced to steal Dr. Light's robots to achieve his ends. And even though he ends up losing, the experience was useful, because by the next game, Wily has actually figured out how to build his own evil robots. In the 1991 Rockman character collection, we're told by Dr. Light, it seems he's somehow managed to complete 8 of his own combat robots, and thus
his own robots.
This begins a pattern. Wily is constantly losing, but also improving himself based on the events from the previous game. In Mega Man 3, we see in the 3rd castle stage that Wily's progressed to creating his own rudimentary Mega Man clones. These Mega clones make a nice blueprint for him to build upon, leading us to Mega Man 5 and the introduction of the Darkman series.
The Darkman series.
Unlike other robot masters who are named based around a certain function, Darkman is the name given to 4 different robots, with only Roman numerals differentiating between them. These guys are particularly interesting as they mimic Dr. Wily's growth in the most literal way. Darkman 1 has tank treads, and represents Dr. Wily's early and inexperienced robot development. Darkman 2 has legs, more complicated on the movement side, and electromagnetic shields, but no Buster. Darkman 3 is all Buster, no no shield, and Darkman 4 combines shield and firearms and legs in an effort to mimic Proto Man. Across the 4 stages of Wily's castle in Mega Man 5, we see the
improvements in the villains. Even the villains will improve.
evil doctor's design process becoming more and more sophisticated, from tank treads to one of the hardest fights that you'll encounter in the classic series. Unless, of course, you have Beat the Bird, in which case it's a bit of a cakewalk. Mega Man 7, though, is where we see all of this learning come together as he reveals his version of Mega Man and Rush, the robots, Bass, and Treble. Mega Man 7 is also noteworthy because this is where we start to see the Doctor's changing mindset. Up until this point in the series, he's only been focused on creating the strongest robot. But this time is the first time that we see Wily truly create a failsafe in the event that his plans crumble. At the end of 6, Wily is jailed, but expecting this, he programs his lab to boot up and push out 4 robot masters in the event that it's left undisturbed for 6 months. And this becomes a staple from this point forward in the series. Wily has backup plans. He stops building for the now, and he starts building for the future. Now, I'm no doctor, but to me this seems like the kind of shift in behavior from someone that's beginning to realize that they don't have forever to reach their ambition.
True. After all, they're just humans. They'll pass away.
Following Mega Man 8,
Must recover all the energy immediately, Mega Man.
we have the fan-named Mega Man 8.5, or Mega Man and Bass, a lesser-known Mega Man title that stayed in Japan until the release of it on the Game Boy Advance in 2003. In this game, we see 2 major...
Oh my gosh, I feel so old, 2003. Oh my gosh, that's 18 years ago. That's 18 years ago. People born then, when the game came out, is legal right now. Oh, I feel so old.
events. Bass rebelling against Wily, and Wily brainwashing his own creations, which should be redundant, right? Why brainwash the things that you yourself are creating? But
True, why brainwash the creations in which they can be programmed, isn't it?
Bass's betrayal in this game shows us exactly why Wily's pursuing this. Wily is learning that robots, to be truly powerful, have to have free will, but that free will comes at a cost, them turning on you. As such, he needs to either A, get robots to willingly follow him, or B, assert his own will in more subtle, underhanded ways. And in the next few games, we see exactly that. In Mega Man 9, he targets robots that are slated for termination, and what he tells them isn't unlike the way that he sees the world himself. Quote, "You work hard for humans, and then they destroy you when you're no longer needed. Just because you reach some arbitrary expiration date doesn't mean you should be scrapped." And the robots are convinced. They willingly follow him. The plan doesn't work, of course, but it's interesting because it reflects Wily's mindset at this point. Like we said, he's
True, he's improving. His mindset have changed. He no longer wants to dominate the world for himself. He wants to dominate the world for the future. Future.
planning for the future. He knows that he won't be around forever, just like the aging robot.
401k.
So his focus is about what's coming next, prolonging his own life. Which segues to Mega Man 10 and Wily's most important scheme in all of the classic franchise, the creation of the Robo-Enza virus. At first, symptoms of this virus are pretty much what you'd expect from a robot version of the flu, but after a few months, the infected robots become dangerous, with
Oh my god, you just have to say virus. You just have to say virus. Currently, we are going through a global pandemic, and you just have to say the words virus.
the following text displayed on screen. The infected robots turn violent and attempt to take over the world. Violence? Okay, that's fine, I would expect that, but take over the world? It's a very specific behavior. There's only one person in all of the Mega Man series so far that's expressed interest in this sort of goal.
And that is Dr. Wily. Dr. Wily. Sorry. Pronunciation. Sorry. Pronunciation.
1. What we see with Robo-Enza is a prototype Wily virus, a way to preserve his life's goal, a way to preserve a piece of himself after he dies. But it needs more development. After he's defeated in Mega Man 11, the latest game in the series and likely the last time that we see these characters alive, he makes the oddly bold claim, "My plans have only just begun." He's got something else in the works. Which brings us to the X series, where everyone in the classic series has long since passed away. So what was Wily's ace in the hole here?
They have just long passed away already.
Well, since the early 90s, it's been theorized that Zero, the super advanced red robot with a laser sword, was a Wily creation, a robot designed to be the perfect Mega Man killer. There was even this incredibly fun fan game named Mega Man Unlimited that bridged the gap in the story, showing Zero as Wily's final and most prized and most violent work, the culmination of all his experiences up to that point. Now, none of this was ever officially stated, especially in the games, but it was always very, very heavily implied. And finally, 2 years ago, during Rockman Unite, a 30th anniversary event celebrating the franchise, we were given a look at an official design document from Mega Man X1 way back in 1993.
Oh my gosh, 1993, gosh, oh my gosh, that's 20 years ago, gosh, I feel so old. I'm not born yet, but that's old. Gosh, that's really old, that's 20 years ago, gosh. People born then will have children, and their children may even go to schools, high school, secondary school.
Confirming that Capcom intended all of this from the start. Zero is Wily's robot. But how does this help us with the theory? Well, it's simple. Did you catch the peculiar note under the Zero project? Wily dies at the same time Zero is completed, and yet Zero is in stasis when he's discovered almost 100 years later. It's presumed that Zero was sealed off because he was too violent to be controlled, but an all-powerful berserk robot kills their creator and takes a nap for 100 years? It doesn't make sense. Now, you'll notice another branch on this flowchart, Wily's robot virus project, the evolution of his Robo-Enza plan from Mega Man 10. We know from that game that he was infusing elements of himself, his plans for world domination, into early versions of that virus. So we know Wily injecting his will into a virus and thus infecting robots isn't all that far-fetched. And though the chart says Wily died before the virus was completed, remember, this is from very early in the design process for these games. In Mega Man Power Fighters 2, Wily alludes to something much different. With this robot and my other project complete, the world will be mine. It all leads to one conclusion. The virus, quite literally, is Dr. Wily, his consciousness or his will or something like that. It's infused into Zero and Zero's stasis pod, waiting to be unleashed onto the world. Now, that may seem like a stretch, but consider this. In a cutscene of X4, we see the classic Wily W flash across Zero's forehead just before good guy Sigma shatters it with his giant Reploidy fist. Zero is taken to the mechanic, and when he wakes, he's totally cool. He's a changed robot. But you know who suddenly has a taste for violence? Sigma. Wily, via the virus, has passed from Zero to Sigma. I know that the flowchart says that Zero being built to be bad is made good by the evil virus, and so the two negatives equal a positive, but that seems, well, it seems kinda dumb.
This is kind of a stretch.
If that were truly the case, then why would the switch from bad to good in Zero happen with Sigma smashing the crystal on his head, the housing point of the Wily virus? And likewise, why would Sigma, the good guy, suddenly become the big bad shortly after this moment? It's as though the Wily consciousness is transferred between these two robots, or that Zero housed a more concentrated version of the Wily virus that got passed on to Sigma. And yes, as an aside, I know in Mega Man X5, Sigma alludes to meeting an old man that's likely Wily, but that wouldn't make sense with anything else established elsewhere in the series, and is more likely him either referring to visions of Wily or potentially our next big villain of Dr. Wile.
You know, possibly.
Anyway, from there, the virus comes to be known by many names and evolves throughout the X series, from the Maverick virus to the Sigma virus to the Zero virus.
Maverick virus, Sigma virus, Zero virus, the virus can evolve, can mutate, can improve.
But in reality, it was always Wily's virus. For further proof, just look at Sigma's behavior once he gets infected. In X2, Sigma attempts to rebuild Zero, who's good now, to fight against X. He's reprogramming a good robot to join the bad guys. Sounds exactly like what Wily did back in Mega Man 1. In Mega Man X3, Dr. Doppler's the main bad guy, only to be revealed later that he was being manipulated by Sigma. It's a direct parallel to Wily's plan with Dr. Cossack in Mega Man 4. Sigma, throughout the series, is recycling Wily's old plans, as if he's the same guy playing by the same old playbook. But okay, in this theory I promise to show that Wily wins. How does that happen? Well, from this point forward, Wily, through Sigma and the virus, plunges the world into a constant state of war. Cities are destroyed, space stations fall to Earth, thousands of human and robot lives are lost at the hands of this robot war.
No, come on. They're just
Wily,
horrible.
through his final 2 actions of creating Zero and a robovirus, sends the world into hundreds of years of bloodshed. In order to defeat the virus once and for all, scientists resort to using Zero's body to create a sort of antibody. This Sigma antibody program using Zero results in the creation of what comes to be called the Mother Elf. This elf destroys the virus once and for all and ends the Maverick Wars. Hooray, hurrah! It would seem that Wily's influence has come to an end, except for one problem. The elf gets corrupted by another evil scientist named Dr. Wile. No relation. Or is there?
Or is
There
there?
isn't, really, as far as I can tell. And this sends the world into yet another series of wars, the Elf Wars, which is the plot of the Mega Man Zero series. And who's responsible for those Elf Wars? Zero himself. So much so that the original Zero exiles himself away multiple times. There are even clones of him made to become some of the most threatening murder bots on the planet. These wars, which last 4 years and ultimately are only happening because Zero the robot is a thing that exists, end up being more destructive than the Maverick Wars, resulting in 90% of Reploids and 60% of all humans on Earth being killed. And all
Like, the Elf Wars was much deadlier than the previous wars.
All of it, again, is tying back to Wily's creation of Zero and the virus. Humanity needed a cure for the virus, they used Zero, and everything went to heck. All of it creating chaos hundreds of years after his death. There's also the ZX series mixed in there, where the lines between human and robot get super blurry due to biometals, but that's kind of a side point here. Anyway, all this destruction on Earth from the various wars, coupled with a massive flood, eventually forces humanity to have to retreat to safety in space, where we enter the final phase of the Mega Man timeline, Mega Man Legends, set thousands of years after the ZX titles. In Legends, we meet the Master, the last of the original humans.
Do not forget, the Master is the only true human remaining.
Beyond him, every other human in existence is either dead or has been fused together with biometal robot parts to create what are known as carbons. We eventually watch as the Master dies, meaning that the final purely human character in this universe is dead. That leads us to the main choice of the game, the one Mega Man is tasked with in the ending of Legends 2. Does Mega Man allow carbons to continue living and leave humanity dead, or does he activate a system that eliminates all carbons so humanity can be reborn once more?
The carbon reinitialization program was meant to be run only after the Master and all other humans have died. It uses their genetic codes to clone new humans.
Mega Man decides to fulfill his master's wishes and let the carbons live. And with that, humanity is, and remains, completely extinguished. By the end of the Mega Man timeline, the last human has died, and there are no plans for recovery. Thanks to the actions of Wily, the human race is extinct. It took
The human race is extinct. Come on! I'm the human race. It's...
took him over 3,000 years to do it, but he won. And it was all because the Robot Institute of Technology chose to go with Dr. Light rather than Dr. Wily's proposal. Talk about a butterfly effect, huh? From petty squabbles and stealing robots to turning himself into a freaking virus that prompts multiple wars, the extermination of millions, and the human race having to evacuate into space where they eventually die out. Without this feud between Dr. Light and Dr. Wily in college, none of it would have happened. The conflict between the two doctors ignited the beginning of the end. Wily's final solution of making Zero and the virus had ripple effects that were felt thousands of years after his death. Just goes to show that in the end, despite everything Dr. Light did to keep Wily's evil at bay, it only prolonged the inevitable. Quite frankly, only made things worse. Dr. Wily's plan at the end of Mega Man 11 really was the ticket for a one-way trip to extinction. And to rub it in even more, Mega Man Legends 2 ends with Mega Man stuck in space with no way to get home. So he even succeeds in taking the blue bomber out of the equation. Talk about killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So theorists, do yourself a favor and keep all that in mind the next time you and your overeager friend are applying for research grants. Step on their toes too much and they just might end up destroying the human race.
Just might end up destroying the human race. Bombs don't hurt. Spikes instantly kills. Why? Why?
But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Ooh, and if you want to see some really old cringy content, we've only actually done one other episode on Mega Man. If you want to watch that one, it's old. I haven't watched it in a long time, so I make no promises, but it's there. It's linked on screen. Chances are, if you only watch our new episodes, you've never seen this one, so strap in for a good time.
I watch.
Also hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Subscribe! Thank you so much. Subscribe to my channel as well. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you do like this video, please consider to like, share and subscribe to my channel and comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Do remember to follow my channel and I'll see you next time. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this video. This video came up from a YouTube channel, Game Theorists, back in the year 2020. Yeah, 1 year ago. If you do like this video, please remember to watch more of our videos and show support for them. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Subscribe.